Good morning and welcome to the Soulful Illumination Show. I am your host, the Enlightened Enchantress, Nicole Borghi, and I am coming at you live from an area near Area 51, and we are going to soar the cosmos today and have some wonderful energy. Thank you for being here on the show today. And we're going to go ahead and do a little housekeeping. Of course, first, I'm Nicole. I'm your host, the Enlightened Enchantress, and I'm an energy worker. I'm a crystal Reiki master and a psychic medium. And this show is all about conscious conversation and enlightenment with laughter and definitely with a lot of love. And I'm going to share that with you today. Let's look at our sponsors. Our sponsor first is doTERRA, our doTERRA oils. And what they do is they lift you up and they pick you up, right? And they're a great source, a natural source of oils that allow you to anoint yourself and lift higher and vibe higher. If you'd like to know a little bit more about that, go to my website, go ahead and hit that button, and it shows you the sponsors on Oneness Talk Radio. The other sponsor today, glad to have it. We all need a little bit of oxygen. Oxygen opens up our lungs so we can breathe in the love and have a little bit of release and a little bit of calmness. And oxygen is what gets your body to jumpstart your day, and it gets your body through the day. And I put oxygen, you can put liquid oxygen from Cellcore Biosciences in your water, and it'll help open you up, open up your chest, open up your breathing so you can let that light and that love in and just take a deep breath, right? Today, I'm going to do my show a little bit differently. I've got a special guest on, and I want to go ahead and get that energy questions out today, a little bit of that energy enlightenment today. What I pulled today were the rune stones of Fehu, Hagala, and Manas. And what they show with the energy today is Hagalas is a little bit of the shadow self and a little bit of the upheaval and the disruption. We do have that chaos around us. And what does that show is that it is the chaos from us individually multiplying. It's multiplying out there in the world. And if we don't share our chaos and look at our chaos from within, go within so you don't go without. Look at that chaos inside. What does your inner shadow say to you? What does it say about yourself, about your character? Some call it character flaws, but what makes you you? It's what makes you unique. It's also part of the inner child. And when you look at our inner child, sometimes we can't get over things like self-sabotage or of subconsciousness. We get those little fear gremlins in our head, and they go back and forth and play these silly little tapes of things that we've heard over the years, and we just can't step past that. And that's when we go into our shadow self and we heal. And we take those fragments of what is us and we learn what we see in ourselves is also what we mirror to others. And sometimes that's what represents us in others is that mirror effect. And when we look at others or we find ourselves hating certain people or not understanding them, it's because we're looking at them through the eyes of our shadow instead of the eyes of our heart and our love. The second rune stone that I pulled is Fehu, and that means wealth, not just monetary wealth, but inherent wealth from our family and our ancestors. What do we bring into this world from our ancestors? Our DNA, our Akashic records. What did we get imprinted in our cells and our DNA to bring us to this moment? We need to learn our history and understand our family, what our family lineage represents to us, and the lineage of our souls and the lineage of our creative consciousness and our universal consciousness. That is what we're looking at today, how to deal with that, how to work with that, and how to move forward in a positive way. It is a wealth brought upon us. It might not always feel that way, but what are the strengths that we have that we brought to this earth at this time so we can move from that karma and that we always feel what our karma hits us with. Sometimes it gives us a little swift kick in the behind because we didn't represent ourselves as a true soulful person and a true loving being. And let's move it into the Dharma. What do we deserve? What do we desire? And how can we reap the beautiful things that we've sown and have our worth? And our wealth is also our abundance and how we manifest. Now is the time with these massive energies to manifest positive, healthy things. We want to manifest, boom, a car. It's really not going to happen overnight. You have to manifest and turn into a better person. And as you turn into a better person, as you heal your inner child, you get more and more of the abundance. And that's when you start to see those kind of monetizing houses and things like that. But let's earn that, right? That's through healing. Also, the third one is manas, and that's self altruism. So look at the self, and this is where it works together. Heal your shadow and heal yourself. And so you can create that wealth. And those are just three beautiful, beautiful rune stones that came up today. And I'll have those up on my site. The other card I pulled within the energies is the Shadow Queen. And the Shadow Queen goes beautifully with the rune stone energy today because it helps us look at bringing forward our wounds so that we can heal them. You know, sometimes you have that pain in your back. We're not talking about you jumped off a high story building and hurt your back. We're not talking about your back aches because you were weeding in the garden. We're talking about your back feeling unsupported. It can be your kidneys that need to detox, and you could do that with, of course, Cell Core Biosciences, a little industry plug there, right? But you could also do that and heal your back because you feel unsupported in the world. A little tiny backache is what I'm talking about. The inability to feel, the ability to move forward. And that's how we heal our shadows, we heal our pain, and we heal our hearts and our souls. And that gives us the ability to be healthy, to want to go to the gym. We start to vibe better when we check ourselves and we change our habits and we develop new habits and new health, right? When we're healthier, we're focused. When we're focused, we're able to drive ourselves, do that hard work, and pat ourselves on the back. And other people will pat us on the back because they love us and they want to share with us. So, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring in the Shiro herself, the boss lady, Miss Wonderful Kimberly Miles, and she is going to share the show with me today. And we're just going to have a wonderful, conscious conversation because Kimberly Miles just brings such positive energy, and she is all about moving forward positively, getting what you deserve and helping others get what they deserve and healing the community and bringing enlightenment to others. Kimberly Miles, how are you today?
Yay, shake it, shake up the energy, shake it. That's what I felt
Woo!
this morning, right? The colors I choose, the materials I use, all
Awesome.
about how I want to show up
Yes,
and how I
yes, it
want to
is.
feel. Every day it's a choice. You know, it's so interesting what you were saying about karma. Thank you for bringing that up. I'm wondering what your input is because so much of the karma, people think it's just the karma that they did yesterday or the day before. It's not just that, is it?
Oh,
It's what we brought in from past life, isn't it?
yeah. Well, it's today, it's yesterday, and the life before. But in
Mm,
the easiest term, it's what we have planted so far, right? What
yes.
have we planted now? And if you want to change that and you want to just be like, oh, you know, may you get a swift hit of karma because may your karma catch up to you, right? Not
Yes.
anything bad, but let people learn their lesson,
Well,
right?
maybe they
Hopefully
do
they
and
learn
maybe
the
they
lesson.
don't. Some of the things I've repeated and repeated until smack dab and boom, pow, I didn't see it coming. Because my patience is something that I consistently every year for my New Year's resolution add to have more patience. The first year I put it out to the universe, Nicole, and I said patience. I had so many things thrown at me within the first 90 days.
Wow.
I went home crying because I got to try, which I don't love saying that word, but to try my patience. It's a cliche. I'm not a big cliche person, but it's very interesting how whatever you want or say, it will help you develop a true experience. So,
Yeah.
right, isn't that true?
You want to have that patience so you can see, and you want to have that patience so you can consciously look into what you're executing, whether that's a job or your life or your loved ones, your family, whatever you're doing. If you have that patience and you do it thoughtfully, you do it with love, and chances are you're going to make less mistakes and you're going to definitely do it better.
I say to myself and my team, I'm literally sitting in my office. So, you guys, I really practice this stuff. I put these in here, I don't know, a little over a month ago in the midstream of what was happening on our coronavirus. And I really felt that it's made a change. Like, the consciousness is happening everywhere and it starts with inside me and then those that I'm attracting to me. And before we get into that, I really want to say how comfortable I feel with you, Nicole.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
you know, uh, a year ago, March, when you came to donate your time
Yeah.
and do the work on us with doTERRA oils. I had already been using the oils, but the way you put the mixtures together and did the work on our Shiro sisters that
Mm.
were also donating their time. And that's what the Be a Shiro Foundation, our retreat in Lake Las Vegas, which was fabulous. So many donations and sponsors that we have every year. So the volunteers can do the work on themselves. And that work is internal.
Mm.
So you got to experience that. And it's really interesting. There was a gal there, Dr. Christina, for her first time experiencing all the women at once. Do
Right.
you know that she actually joined the board? And I think it was because part of what you were able to reflect, you had tears come up out of people. You had people sharing their honest self and Shiro, B.A. Shiro Foundation, boldly elevating awareness, supporting humanity, equality, rights, and oneness.
Mm.
Ironically, during this time, while we focus on vulnerable girls and girls of sex trafficking survivors,
Mm.
we're all fixing ourselves first.
Yeah.
We change the world by changing ourselves. It was exactly what you were just saying earlier in your commentary. This
Yeah.
stuff is real. You've done personal work on me. You're my
Mm.
personal helper because you've become a friend, and I watch you be the change in the world you want to see. So this has been this most
So
amazing
sweet.
relationship that we've developed in less than 2 years. I just want your
Amazing.
viewers to know that.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that. It is such a great journey, and you've been so supportive to me. And it just speaks, I'm gonna tear. It just speaks on the power that you have, and the power that we have together. And seeing that foundation, it was so amazing to me to just be there and see these beautiful women, and see the because they're already, like you said, Dr. Christine, and she's so wonderful and she shares so many things, and she's such a busy person, but she's always there. She's always there, and it just speaks to the strength of the community and the tribe getting out there, and the women, whether it's in a circle or in the foundation, they are there. It's the now, knitting circles of the now, right?
Yeah.
We're there empowering each other and sharing, and building the community and sharing on that energy. And thank you, because you're such a blessing to share this with, this energy and the change, and to still have a powerful person, to be in my friend's book, right? And to have shared the energy with you. And it's so wonderful to go into somebody's energy and to be invited into their auric field. It's amazing. It's an honor to go into there and kind of look at something. It's almost like private. It's a little secret. You don't want to, you don't, it's something we
I,
don't always share with people.
I,
We kind of
I,
hide.
it's so funny because I call it hiding my good girl. Because it is between your finance. I know you're talking about wealth, because finance is just an exchange of energy, right?
Yes.
Those dollars aren't worth anything but the paper they're written on, as we're seeing, as what we came out of in 2008, and as we're seeing as we peel back right now,
Mm-hmm.
to understand that exchange of energy and allowing that to flow to you. So whether it's your financial or your physical, being in your wealth, right? Wealth for me is my health, because I can always make more financial. I have to be mentally dialed in. And so this work that I've been doing now almost for 20 years to get me here. And that was also a transformation in my body. I'm so proud of it. So for all you girls out there, this was 397 pounds. If you can believe that, I got
Wow.
pictures. I got pictures to prove it in my awesome book I wrote, Zero to Shero, right?
Yes, let's talk about your book. And it's so great that you bring that up, because how did you get here? How did you get to write that book? What brought Kimberly to this point in life, to this success level? And how did you get here? I'm going to let you tell that story.
Well, it's a whole bunch of stuff. It's not just one thing, definitely. To be, excuse me, courageous enough to put down the words. But my husband, Gerald Eric Miles, kept saying, you don't have to keep explaining yourself to everybody. You don't have to tell your story. And the more money I started attracting, and then when I really survived the 2008, I could not have done it with every single people in my office to allow me to take the time to do it. And they run the business. I mean, I wish I could take credit, but they do all the work. And that's also a time when we decided we were going to do an employee stock option plan, and they're going to get the company. So that's another really unique thing that I want to do in my third book, is to explain that story of, we don't have kids. And even if we did, I don't know that they would be experienced or challenged enough to get the business money, because they don't do the work. You see so many kids that are struggling with that. So my husband said, quit telling that story. And I didn't know how to put it all on paper, but I turned down a reality television show in 2014. NBC flew me out to New York.
Wow.
Boss Lady Vegas. It was a great concept. Andy Orgel is a fabulous guy that helped Nickelodeon, Discovery, and he went and started when they did a new channel with CBS. And he took me under his wing and started making the introduction, because the consciousness and collaboration that's happening, to not be this corporate dog of money first.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So going back to why I did the book, when I turned down the reality show because it wasn't what I wanted it to be, it wasn't reality. It wanted to be a money maker only. And while I love making money, if the people around me aren't happy, I mean, this is a very heavy industry with the amounts of money. We move very labor intensive at your desk. Lots of detail, which I need to continue to work on. I surround myself with highly detailed people. I wanted to put the story in the book to raise funds for the Bia Shero Foundation. And that's when Bia Shero was birthed in 2015, because for NBC not to steal the idea, I had to go build it. Or I'm not saying that they would, but it's happened so many times when they love an idea and you don't do it their way. They have the money, the resources, the talent to do it. But when you own it and have it and you build it, which we clearly have built the B.A. Shero Foundation to very high levels in 5 years with who we've attracted, much smarter people than me. I am that connector, that consciousness that draws the other consciousness to level up patterns of behavior for sustainability, women's courageousness and bravery to go out in the finance house, to not work for the corporate vibe. High level executives, high level captains and doctors and educators. And I can't believe, I really can't, coming from the girl from the streets, and it's in my book, B.A. Shero is zero to Shero. It wasn't because I was a zero. It was because we all start from the seed of nothing, right? We all have a sheet of paper.
We do. And it's also how you thrive from that, how you became how you are. But you took those lessons that you learned in life and you moved them forward, and you progressed that into your uniqueness. You made that altruistic change. You made that transformation, right? At that cellular level, and said, look, every time these cells duplicate, they're going to be great, strong cells, healthy cells. And I'm going to thrive into my brain power and be that healthy person. I mean, you're fit, you take care of yourself, you do that with nutrition and health. And you have this loving sacred union with your husband that definitely supports you, and you support one another so uniquely and so beautifully. And to be able to put that in here, and to that testament of that thrive that you have to empower so many other people within your business, just that alone.
Thank you. And you've been in my space. So you've been in my home, which is a sacred place that is meant to share with others. We bring both homeless children, at-risk children. We do drum circles in the house. I mean, you've been in the house. There's drums and music instruments everywhere. In fact, even as we continue to, level up and bringing a more musical sense between the singing bowls and the Tibetan bowls, and getting everybody to touch this vibration, right? Eric was in television and movies for years, and he was in the spotlight for years. And something he said, as he's almost 10 years older than I am, you would never be able to tell. He looks younger than me. You know what he looks like, man. Oh my gosh, what a blessing, but also a challenge being born in that vessel, because the more sexy you are, the more attractive you are, people, that's equal. Do you have game or do you have wealth? It's amazing when you have both, when you're out there dealing with people. A lot of people really were able to leverage this outer vessel when you look good. Everyone wants to look good. Everyone wants to feel good. And of course, you want a bunch of finance, right?
Well, of course.
Right. You see the finance leveraging up for their trophy partners and exchange. And while I don't believe that works, it's too much pressure on the men to be the only finance house, especially in this energy right now, the masculine and feminine, right? The feminine is so strong, women's. We have to be conscious not to emasculate. So my husband,
yes,
right? This
is so huge. You say that. Let me stop that. I don't want to interrupt you, but it's so amazing right now. We're in the divine feminine, and last night we had this beautiful new moon sacred circle, and it is so important. And I say this all the time. We need to make sure that we are at balance, at unity, and in love. We have a male side and a feminine side, and we need to keep that in balance. And we need to not emasculate the other, as well as the man does not need to pull us down. But we need to know that we are both beautiful, strong, wonderful, thriving beings. And you share that. And it's huge that you're such an example to people, that they see that
Yes.
and your
Yes.
love language, and you speak that and you share.
Yeah.
And people get to do
55,
that.
still alive. 55. Yeah.
Awesome.
Everything that's
Fantastic.
been coming up with me.
Fantastic.
Yeah. It's everything has been around the fives for me, which has been fantastic. And it is challenging when you have two, that are equal. And so we balance out each other to lift each other up. And he said, "This is your time now. This is yours. I've done that. I've been in front of the camera. I've went out and promoted." And so what he's done in elevating even the masculinity inside of me, right, to perpetuate and get things going for more than yourself. And we were talking about this before the show,
Yeah.
me and we, it's all three prong. The E is three prong, right? Which is another representation to me, the three prong, the three. When you say me, you're really having a reflection of we.
Oh,
It's
a huge,
us.
huge,
Huge. What
huge.
I do to one, I do to all, including myself,
Yeah.
right? It's
Right.
so I don't hold on to the past. Like I'm working through looking at how beautiful that was to prepare me for the present. And the present, as we know, thank you, Deepak Chopra, right? The four presents,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
The gift and staying in the moment with our breath and conscious connection is what I keep working on through the patients to be able to deliver and change. A lot of people are afraid of the change. In my business, TPCHR Payroll Consultants, the payroll company, human resource, we're consulting. However, we're providing technology. We're a software company that helps educate and elevate our customers to work and put systems together. I learned this in 2008 through that economic downturn that lasted for like 7+ years. Some are barely coming out of it still before we
Yes.
have this pandemic, right? Is being the example. And I think because of the karma, because I've been changing and working on me, right? This is the first thing every single volunteer that comes through the Biashiro Foundation. And remember, we're 100% volunteer ran, all the executive board, all the volunteers on the chairs are 100% volunteer. When you attract it for free with heavy workloads,
Yeah.
right? You've got to come in saying, I'm going to fix myself. And that's scary. People want to come in and fix everybody else. But I said, you are everybody. You are the change you see
Yes.
in the world. You know, I rebranded the company. This is what I want to talk about change. So, oops.
There you go. Turn it around.
Yeah.
Perfect.
This
All right.
happened in 2010, right? So we rebranded
Uh-huh.
from this first 10 years because we're on 20 years, right? So we
Wow.
came from
Wow.
this. And so it's ever changing. Embrace change. So the two different significance, it's a little louder, it's a little bolder. I was nervous to do a little louder and a little bolder, and I go to specialists. I hire specialists to help me with this, and thank you so
Uh-huh.
much. We are Spartan, Kimberly Esparza. Thank you so much for your assistance on helping me transform the message, and thank you, Amy Biani, for having this marketing degree, and thank you for being on our team at TPC to help kind of put things together in this shift. So grateful for Bill Cleland, our COO, that's helped with the marketing piece as well. But when I did that in the change, I am bold. I am loud. And
Exactly. Exactly. That is just you. It is you all the way, and you represent yourself well.
do I thank you? Some feel
Yes.
that way and some don't. Now, you've been able to go deeper and see because you pick up on a lot of my vibration, but I have huge communication challenges still. You got to realize, when you read the book, right? What happened as a child, I had no control over. What
Mm.
forced me and helped me out of that wheelchair to be heard. When you're constantly sitting down looking up at people and people are nervous to look at you,
Mm.
if you think about the people, I call them different abilities. They use the word disability, but it's different abilities, no
I
matter
like
what age
that.
you are. We avoid people that look different than us.
Right.
We do. And I
Right.
learned this at a very young age. Well, I wanted to embrace people who like different than me, that think different than me, because that helps me be better. I literally say to very high level people, help me. I sometimes frustrate people because my communication isn't clear. I can hear one thing in my head,
Mm-hmm.
and then I only said this out of my mouth. I didn't finish a sentence. I wasn't
Right.
clear on an email because I was thinking in my head. Coming out of myself to communicate better. And in business, this is so important, but even more than business, even more than professional. What's happening at home that I'm more clear saying what I want? My husband's not a mind reader, right?
No, but you start to you kind of start to know how each other works, right? We kind of understand each other and we take that for granted. But the thing is it's always for everybody, for all of us speaking and those listening to us. It's important to stop and pause. Who is the person saying what they're saying? Or who am I saying to the other person? How do they listen, right? Kind of their love language or how they listen. And sometimes that's the patience we can find in ourselves is, wait a second, I don't have to worry about being me. I have to worry about, really, am I saying my truth? But and I've learned, for me, it's really was not just spitting it out, because coming from where I came, I could say it in in a very blunt and painful way. Because when I read or when I saw things, I said it exactly as I saw it. And people weren't ready for that energy. It's still very hard, and I try to soften it without sugarcoating it.
Oh,
And
that's
that
a good
and
one.
that's really a part of that is the what I see working in the underworld, or in a different dimension, in a different portal. I see some things that can feel so damaging when your shadow or your inner child comes up and you're not ready for it. But who are you speaking to? And I have to remember, when I talk to people, certain people that I do readings for, that I got to pause and say, okay, uh, this is how I see things. And I can only tell you in the way that I see them, in the way that I feel it, because you can feel the energy or the pain or the emotion. And it's sometimes so hard, because when you're invoked with that a massive, massive chaotic emotion, or the sadness or that pain, it's hard to relate in a loving manner,
Yes.
because you're in that time. And I don't want the other person to have to experience, so I would rather re-experience it for them and help them grow from there. But that takes understanding, for me, and it does take understanding when we're changing. We have to be ready to hear things, and people know who we are. And I think we need to stop excusing, in a sense. I didn't like the way I went. Well, what really was the energy on that? Was the energy just meant to be like, hey, can I just check you out? Like a post-it.
Yeah.
I talk in terms of a post-it note. Get it done. Here's the checklist. Not everybody does. I talk in terms of maybe a text. And so, yeah, for me, it was learning how to write an email and compose it a little more gentler than the, hey, let's just get together, and really understand that. So there's a little bit of formality, which definitely is a professional way to approach people. But the difference between being professional and having to caress somebody's ego. And,
Well, I can
I
only
don't want to hurt
change.
anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can only change myself. And just, the way you introduce me is sometimes when people see my life, they didn't know my journey. And again, like my husband said, and which is true, I don't own it anymore. I don't have to tell people my story. You're going to think whatever you think about me, and that's
Right.
your right. But it's none of my business what you think about me. It's so funny.
Exactly.
So it's really
Exactly.
not. It's my business to control my reactions and how I want to show up in the world. I am very happy because I manage two very large, one retail space and another very important business project. But I want people to know this is all business stuff. I am
Yeah.
not about business. I am this stuff when you bring it into your life and your light. I mean, I can't tell you which I'm so proud of just numerous awards. I show that because this work has gotten to me exactly what you just said. I mean, they're all over my walls. Tons of us, just so grateful. This is my college education life. That's my
Wow.
college education, is working through it and delivering results from the actions I change. I mean, I am so grateful because I bought this office years ago. This, even coming in to see like the change on what we did on rebranding, this stuff, when you serve and you are authentic, creating this change in growth. And I want to show you something, because talk about sticky notes. We did a practice. No, I'm just serious. This is my
I
team.
love
This
it.
is
I love
real.
it.
I
I
want to
love it.
show you that in my office, because it's the relationships you make. We have perceptions. Look at this. Because one big thing is we all go through a profile. This is what's really live in my office, posted on the walls, on how we show up and what
Yes.
we want the world to be seen and remembered. You know, truthfully, I care what people think, and I care about people
Yes.
so much. I mean, you can't spell Shiro without HR. It is so important to understand that
Huge.
we are humans and we need to embrace each other and create that love out there to ourselves. We can't say, oh, I don't like people. I don't like having employees. That's the toughest part of being. I don't even like people. I don't want to manage my people. So that's why I get hired, right? Because I
Mhm.
love people and I have to really be able to explain to other entrepreneurs how to embrace yourself. What is it that you don't like about yourself? Oh, it's
Mm.
easier for me to deal with my dogs, and I love animals so much, but I don't like humans. You're not really saying you don't like humans or your employees. What you're saying is what you don't like about yourself,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
right? You
Huge. Huge. Because you reflect when you don't, and there's times in my life where I closed off. I closed off from being part of the conscious collective. I closed off from reading energy or being psychic, or
yeah.
I closed my heart off because I was hurt and I was damaged. And so I couldn't have committed relationships. I couldn't commit to myself, but I didn't know how to do it. There was nobody there. And and
Didn't
and
know
so I
how to
had to
do it.
look. I had to look. I had to look. I had to look, and I kept looking, and I kept healing, and I kept forgiving me, and I kept asking for help. And in that, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And you have to have some type of vulnerability, and you have to have true love for yourself in order to love other people. And that's just the polarity and in the shadow. If you hate everybody that comes to you, what are you creating? What is that energy around you to bring those people into your life, the same people? Because if that same relationship and that same situation comes up continuously with different people, there's a common denominator in that. And I know it's hard to say, but that may be you. And I say that because I've experienced it. We've all had those bad relationships, the bad boyfriend, the bad breakup, the bad boss. What are you creating to get that? If you have a horrible boss, sometimes it just may be that you might not be the optimal employee. It could
Well,
be. You have to look at that. You really have to look at that, and then call it like you see it from there. Put the pros and cons down, what's going on, and then look from there. But you have a beautiful way to integrate that energy, that empowerment into your work, and empowering the growth of the people that work with you and beside you, because they don't necessarily work just for you, but they work with you, and they are empowered to work with you. And you are so great at keeping a positive space. But that's not just the unicorns and rainbows and the pretty beautiful scarves that you have on your wall, or the chakra, the female chakra up there, and the mandala
or
and the
my
astrology
books,
book. Yeah,
or my rocks that I want them to use.
but that comes through the energy with them, right? But you have to keep the space safe. you have to keep it safe. And you
That's
have to clear that energy because there's so much out there. And because you're at the position that you're at, you have to be careful who you let in there without turning everybody away.
so I'm an open heart. So this is how I roll. So I kind of let everybody in and it filters. Now, when I go into Shiro, because that's super, filtering, you get to do a project, you have to fill out a form, you have to look at the NDA, right? Non-disclosure, because there's so many people we're protecting for safety.
Mm.
And then after you pass this process, it could be a month to 3 months, depending on the piece or the project or the individual, right? To kind of mesh with the team. That's the Be a Shiro Foundation process. Before you even get to be a volunteer, I used to laugh about it on Seinfeld. One of the episodes was Frasier getting fired and kicked out, Frasier, from his volunteer role.
Oh.
It's hilarious. And I found that so interesting because that's happened.
Mm.
Pretty words on pretty paper in a resume, right? We can kind of put it together. You really need to do your work because everyone gets background checked. That plays a role dealing with the kids. And through the Be a Shiro Foundation, everyone at TPC gets a background check. And it's part of just doing our due diligence and how I deal with the world's law enforcement on these kids who've been sex trafficked, which the world knows about now.
Yes.
They
Yes.
didn't when I founded the organization. They had no clue. Everyone thought I was even more of a wackadoodle than I am now. And it's all in my book. It's
Yes.
on Amazon, by the way, and Kindle. When I put that in there to truly tell that story, so many parents turned a blind eye, so many family members, so many teachers, so many doctors. No one stopped and looked what was happening. No one. And it's because we are afraid. We are too busy to stop and have true conversation and listen.
Huge,
More
huge.
with 2 ears. Look, be aware. We're talking. And I learned that from myself when I was paying more attention to, I seen everything because I know what to look for. I see it all before sometimes the light goes off, and even the team who's being lured in can't see. The parents don't know what to look for. So in the protection and safety of the company we choose, because it's truly the people, not the material things. But it comes to material things because once you naturally connect with the consciousness, your higher self, divinity that we have a direct connection to, that's when the shift happened. You said all this at the beginning of your show. I'm living it. I'm surviving yet another pandemic as an essential business, which is so freaky to me that if you would have told me this in my story back then, I used to dream about it, but it even surpassed. There's still stress. There's still times that I overeat and make bad choices and use cuss words and have a little tantrum because it gets.
You're human.
Just do it in a different way. Screaming in my car, they go for the lion's roar, and
yes,
and I stretching yourself to pull it all the way through right to my bum and stretch that to release it. We all feel the same thing. This is not pie in the sky. This is taking a hard look at yourself. And when you take that hard look, all of a sudden there's a flow, there's a go, and there's a glow. It changes. So all the stories and all the pretty words on paper, at the end of the day, when you change yourself, and that's really what we focus on. You're here to help me, to help yourself, to help me.
Huge.
We will change. So it's really tough. I really look for people who don't fight. I'd rather you fight. I'd rather you stand up. I'd rather you communicate in a clear way to me without cuss words, without screaming. But sometimes it happens. I prefer that. I don't want to scream at you either. I scream.
Right.
I'm loud. I have a hearing different ability. I wear aids. My hypnotherapist says is because I toned, ironically, women
Mm.
and children out from the pain, from the
Oh, yeah.
sadness, from the abuse, that it's really
Mm.
metaphysical, but the doctors see a physical side. So
Yeah.
when you talked about the back,
Mm-hmm.
I know you're not talking and we're not doctors, but I can only use my body as the vessel on how I change myself. When
Right.
I get into a car accident, right? And I have, right? I've been rear-ended at 10 o'clock the day before the gala. This is
Oh.
real. So I got a big bruise on my head. I had to wear a braid over my, she put a braid. I look like a goddess. I forget they were calling me some super goddess, whatever cartoon. And it was hilarious because of what I wore, added a piece on my white girl weave, put a piece on, covered up. I looked fabulous. It was amazing. But I inside was like, why did I attract that? People don't look at this
Mm-hmm.
because, like you're saying, a sore back, right?
Mm-hmm.
My heart or my breathing. I don't care what it took to get you there because I have a little bit of you attracted it. I
Mm-hmm.
attracted that car. I said, why was I moving so fast? Why wasn't I stopping and looking of whatever? I go, okay, I release. And I named my highest energy, which is very transformable, Darby. Darby
Right.
came out in my hypnotherapy, and Darby, they used to call me nuts as a kid. They thought I had a bunch of invisible friends because I was in the wheelchair. So I was always having invisible friends, but those were because I didn't get to have all that every other kid on the block got, right? So I
Right.
had with these
Right.
kids, but what I found as an adult as I started doing this work, these you have a special guide, you have angelic, right?
Yes.
You have
Yeah.
connection, and they start coming through when you're ready to listen and look, right? Don't they?
Yeah. You have to, you're at that frequency when you're opening and you just say, hey, you're ready to talk to them. That's about it. That's the simplicity of it. That's the beautiful simplicity of it is, hey, hello, you're acknowledging that they're there.
Yes.
And you're willing to listen to the help they have to offer or what they have to say or just a hand as a friend to be there for you.
It's so important we look at our magical child. Whether this is a little girl, little Kim, Lil Kim, that was so frightened and fragile with her feet, but a very loud energy coming from me, so I would be heard. I mean, I knew I was different than the other kids, not just because I had a different ability by being in that wheelchair and in and out of hospitals for those 8 years with surgeries and all of those things I went through, but it was to wake me up early to go through that path to do the work quicker right out of the gate.
Yeah.
So I could be in this place and prepare myself as best as I could for this pandemic as an adult, to
Right.
prepare my team and tell them the truth, right? Because
Right.
there's all this life happening and it's fearful. It's fearful for me too, because I
Mm.
have this calling to take care of people. In a way, I bring home the food so they can take home that paycheck to get their families what they need. We have
Right.
some
Oh,
single
yeah.
incomes in homes, right? It's really, and for them to have put up with me in all of this unconventional, unorthodox feelings. People go, what are you? Well, that's really a tough one. Do you mean spiritually, or what are you talking? Well, what's your religion? I say I'm a boo Jew with Christianity, the full word, right? Moo moo Jojo, and I just added Kaka because of Kabbalism. What do you mean? I have all those as my friends. I love to travel the world, even in my dinner parties, by having your friends there, bringing a dish, talking about their culture. I would be bored living with a bunch of me's. Well, I'm never boring. I have a lot of fun with myself, but you know what I'm saying. Oh my God, I couldn't have another man. Enough of me. Like living in this vessel is so much for me. People just get to experience it on the outside. I live in it. You know, I want to mention, and I was saying, you know, a little bit earlier, this is so important to me. Everything with the book, 100%, I want to get this out, is going to the foundation. It's really like $1 a book. I need to get to 1 million bestseller list. So this book is so important as that money goes to the foundation. Today I've delivered about almost $500 so far this year.
Wow.
Which is really exciting. I'm close to, I want to say what am I at? 750 books sold. I'd love to put
Fantastic.
my books on your shelf, right? But this is something that's so interesting. So Shiro USA, and I want to talk about sharing. This is Shiro USA. They are a huge sponsor. These are the masks. And I was so happy. They're all like, why don't we just make our own masks and come up with the BA Shiro mask? And I said,
Beautiful.
yeah, I've seen these in the store. In fact, Amanda Covington's daughter, she now sits on the events chair board for the Via Shero Foundation. She found these panties at the store because we do hygiene kits for just $10 a month. You will get a hygiene kit to every girl to affect one's life, why we need hundreds of them. Oh, this is still the mask. Sorry, I thought I had a pair of underwear on me, but there's different kinds. They have the alternative to Thinks, which is the menstrual cycle panties.
And
So
those
when
are
I'm
important to give out.
homeless,
Yes.
they're
Yes.
very important.
Yes.
They're so important because people think, oh no, we just want to give them the paper, you know, tampons and pads and plastic and all of that stuff. And I hate that because the environment isn't that great. These girls can rinse out their panties, okay, put them in their back pocket, right? And then take them with them and wear a new pair. And I have to show you them because it is so important to promote the Shiro USA because of their give to us. And they give us 50 of these a month to get them to wash and go. One of the biggest things that we found with all of our other nonprofits, remember, Shiro is a community partner, not just here in Las Vegas, but nationally. So Payroll USA provides these to build these hygiene kits. But the biggest thing when they're staying in these homeless shelters, other homeless steals their stuff. It's very things we don't think about, why we have to constantly provide. And it also comes with all of the products to be clean, because you know how good it feels to have a, you know, cute undies.
Yes, yes,
and,
absolutely. To feel good to open that package and be like, oh, I've got something new and fresh.
Yes.
And it's mine. It's mine, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And to still be dual usable. So that is.
Yes. And you keep providing. So we've got 1 minute left. Is there anything else that you want to add before we go? Because I'm going to post this with your links, definitely. So people can find you and help and share and provide and promote and contribute.
The best way to get a hold of me is at Shiro. It's a hero with an S. She is a Shiro. SHERO Foundation.org. SHERO Foundation.org or 844-67 Shiro for a quick telephone call. I'm so grateful for this opportunity, and I knew it would fly by. I told you, Nicole, I'm so grateful. So grateful. Remember, it's about the people who make the difference. That's you and me, honey. And thank you for being on this journey. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity. ShiroFoundation.org, 844-67 SHERO to get a hold of me. Thank you so much. So grateful. So grateful.
Thank you. Lots of love and energy to everybody. Have a great day. Bye, guys.